Ted Crawford, an Irish-born aeronautical engineer and millionaire living in Los Angeles, is the kind of guy who finds flaws even in planes that haven't left the ground yet. The man is obsessed with perfection, which is ironic considering the chaos he's about to create. One fine day, after humiliating a coworker by pointing out a defect the computer hadn't even detected yet, Ted decides to take a little detour and catches his wife, Jennifer, in the middle of an affair with, guess who? A police lieutenant. Ted follows her car, watches the betrayal unfold in real time, and decides that this will be the perfect day to test his skills in destructive emotional engineering. When Jennifer gets home pretending nothing happened, he confronts her, hears a half-hearted "I'm sorry," and without hesitation turns their romantic dinner into a crime scene. One shot, head, silence. The gardener hears it, because in movies, gardeners always hear everything, and calls the police. The squad shows up, led by Lieutenant Rob, the same man Jennifer was having the affair with. Ted, calm as if he'd just made himself a cup of coffee, calls 911 and confesses, "Yes, I shot my wife." When the lieutenant arrives and finds the body, Ted traps him in the middle of his own twisted game. He points the gun, the lieutenant reacts, chaos ensues, and Ted is arrested, and, surprise, Jennifer is still alive, a detail that changes everything. Enter Willy Beachum, the most confident prosecutor in Los Angeles. Young, handsome, ambitious, the kind of guy who wears expensive suits and thinks life is an episode of Suits. He takes the case thinking it's a slam dunk, a confession, witnesses, and a textbook villain. There's just one problem. Ted decides to represent himself. Sure, he's an engineer, not a lawyer, but clearly he's here to play chess while the prosecutor is still playing checkers. In court, Ted toys with Willy like a cat playing with a mouse. We find out the murder weapon was never fired, the shooter has no gunpowder residue, and no one can explain how the guy managed to kill someone without a gun, without evidence, and without getting his hands dirty. Meanwhile, Ted keeps sketching blueprints and smiling like everyone else in the room is an amateur. The case falls apart. What was supposed to be Willy's career-making victory becomes an absolute disaster. Ted exposes the affair between his wife and the lieutenant, the judge looks uncomfortable, and suddenly the villain looks like the victim. The result? Ted walks free for lack of evidence, and the prosecutor, who thought he was on his way to a big promotion, ends up sleeping with his boss just to try to keep his job.
But the game isn't over yet. Ted starts mocking Willy, sending him eggs, literally eggs, to remind him of the story he told about always finding cracks in everything. Yes, even psychopaths have a weird sense of humor. The prosecutor, now obsessed, loses his job, his lover, and nearly his sanity trying to figure out how Ted pulled off the perfect crime. In the middle of it all, Lieutenant Rob takes his own life. And guess who ends up with the gun? That's right, Ted, the very same gun he used for the murder. And as if that weren't enough, Ted goes back to the hospital to finish the job, since Jennifer is still alive, but in a coma. Yep, the guy comes back to make sure the work is done right. The twist comes when Willy finally figures out Ted's masterstroke. Ted had swapped his gun with the lieutenant's before the crime, so the gun found at the scene was his, but the shot came from the lover's weapon. A plan so meticulous, even the devil probably took notes. But Ted makes one mistake. By killing Jennifer after she had survived, he commits a new crime. Double jeopardy doesn't apply, but a new trial does. And this time, the genius traps himself in his own perfect plan. Ted is finally arrested for real, and Willy, the fallen prosecutor, returns triumphant with that look of, "Now it's personal. Game over." The movie was partially inspired by real-life cases of evidence manipulation, and Anthony Hopkins, who plays Ted, improvised several of his lines, leaving Ryan Gosling, who plays Willy, genuinely thrown off during filming, which only made their on-screen chemistry even more authentic. And now, if you were the prosecutor, Willy, would you have let Ted defend himself? Or would you have fallen into his trap just the same? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Hope you loved it, and I'll see you in the next video.